Few days ago, I posted an article over on shanecraig.tech. I also made an accompanying video for this titled Samsung Galaxy Z Trifold What We Know. And I tried in this video and in this article to go over all of the leaks and rumors that had surrounded this device at that time. And today we have an update to add to the bottom of that article. We're talking about apparently how many of these Galaxy Z trifolds Samsung has produced. Now, I do want to make it clear that if you don't know about this device or you want to know more about it, maybe you missed that article, missed that video, I'm going to put a link in the description down below. You can check that out and get a whole bunch of information about this particular device. But let's talk about this new thing here now. A new report from Sam Mobile indicates Samsung is taking a very cautious approach to the Galaxy Z Trifold's initial launch, which could make the device extremely rare. Now, what Sam Mobile is saying is that they've apparently only produced 20 to 30,000 units on this initial run, and this is a tiny amount. In fact, we can go back to another article here on shanecraig.tech where he talked about how poorly the Galaxy S25 Edge actually sold. We can see here they sold 190,000 S25 Edge units in that first month. So 190,000 S25 Edge devices was considered a very low amount. We're now talking about only 20 to 30,000 of these things being produced in this initial run. So you can see the order of magnitude that we're talking about. Now, in that prior video, we talked about how there was this certification that had happened that had revealed several different model numbers. Model numbers that were targeting, yes, South Korea and China, but also model numbers that targeted the US market. And then also another certified international variant that could have a broader release. So they're planning on apparently releasing this thing in other regions, but they've only made 30,000 of these in the initial run. So what does that say to me? Well, it confirms, or I guess maybe not confirms, but it adds credence to the idea that I've been telling you guys from the very beginning. You're going to see this thing in South Korea and China first in very limited volume. The price is probably going to be fairly high. And what Samsung is going to do is they're going to use that information, how it sells then and there, to gauge what they need to do for these larger markets. The last thing Samsung wants to do is mass produce a million of these things and then have to heavily discount them and fire sale them, and then it puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It's just a disaster from the start. That would be a really bad thing to do. What they want to do is they want to create scarcity. They want to make just enough of them that the people who really want them get them, and then they can say, we sold out of this thing. They want to produce the right amount. So you're going to do this by starting small, starting slow, releasing in 2 regions that you can track very easily, and then ramping up if you need to before you release this thing broader into these other markets. Sam Mobile also says, so far the Galaxy Z Trifold component suppliers haven't received any new updates from Samsung. They don't know what the company's production plans might be in the near future. However, they are expecting to receive word from the tech giant by December at the latest. So everyone's just kind of waiting to see exactly what happens. And December at the latest, okay, well, it's November. They're going to release this thing this year is what they have repeatedly said. So that's going to, I think, kind of line up perfectly, right? They're going to put this thing out. What's it going to do in that launch window? Okay, so we need to ramp up. We need to maybe not ramp up. Maybe we sold, pretty poorly. They don't know what's going to happen with this thing, and they're playing it safe. And I think that that does make sense, and it lines up with what we've been saying. And the broader thing I want to get across to you guys is if you're expecting to buy this thing in the United States this year, don't expect that. In fact, it might not be until maybe halfway through next year before they're ready to launch this thing in other regions. We just don't know, but it's definitely not coming by the end of this year in the United States. Like I've been saying for a long time, test bed in South Korea and China, then they're going to determine what they want to do in the United States. Now, I thought they were still potentially trying to decide if they even wanted to release it outside of those 2 regions, but the existence of those model numbers says they probably have decided, at least tentatively, that they want to go that route. They do want to release it elsewhere. They just don't know in what kind of quantity that's going to occur in. So, guys, that's all we have for this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.